Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Music of the Week. I don't really have a lot to self-promote from the past. I've got 6 albums to go through for this, so let's get through them. Also, you can probably just barely see him, but my cat's here as well. Oh, he just moved. So he's probably going to be a co-host. You gonna help me with the video? Yeah, 6 albums. Let's go. We begin with The Absence and their self-titled album, The Absence. I think this is like their third or fourth along. This is a very melodic death metal project. I love them so much. I'm giving it a B minus. I thought, like, in terms of just sheer heaviness with the instrumentation, I thought it was really good. I do like the performances probably the most. I will say that the band do have this really good dedication to them. The lyrics are mostly decent. I wish that they leaned more into the concept of it because it did feel like there was a story they were trying to tell. It just doesn't really tell it a lot with the themes. The structuring and overall pacing is also pretty decent, but like a lot of the really good stuff happens way early on. It feels like it's just sort of scrounging for the next like 2/3 of an album. But maybe it's the production I do have the most issue with, and it is the part I have the most issue with because it feels a bit underdone for the style for modern death metal, as we're going to like discover in the last album for this episode. It can be done right with the right production, but it just wasn't really handled that well. But I do think like the heaviness and the occasionally really creative riff and the band's performances do make up for the lack of other things. And those other things aren't necessarily terrible. It just feels like that they had these good ideas, but they just sort of let them slip out of their hands a little bit, and it is a bit of a shame because ultimately this was really good, Mellow Death. And I still recommend you give it a try, but do be aware that there are a few stumbling points going in. It's still really solid though. Next we have a French band named ACOD, or ACOD, I don't know how it's pronounced, with their newest album Versets Noir, which I also don't know how that's pronounced, because not French. This is a melodic black metal offering, and that's not a style I get to come across often. And bless you, I'm giving it. I'm giving it an A. I really enjoyed this one. There was some really big, strong feeling riffs. It's got some interesting pacing. The performance is really good, but it's production that was probably my favorite thing about this one. It just makes all the instrumentation pop really nicely. It adds so much lovely bits of atmosphere, which I really think personally serve the album quite well. It's just got a really good amount of high points, and there's some really good lyricism to it too, with a nice sort of like occult focus. And I think that it's sort of a sleep token situation where they believe in like this fake sort of god, or there's something along those lines. This is a band that I think has their own lore at least, and yeah, no, I like that they lean into it. I will admit, the first song on the album is the best one, and it's a 20-minute epic opener titled Bentis Malefica. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. And it's like this 20-minute long song that feels like it could be an album all on its own, even though it's only 20 minutes, but like, it's a really fucking strong starter, and most of the stuff is good after that. But it does feel like it ends a bit weakly as a result. There's only 5 songs on the album as well, and yeah, it's a bit of an odd choice, but it's still a really, really good one to open with that. I would have personally closed with it, but it's such a fucking incredibly handled song. For one as long as it is, it goes to all these really interesting and fun places. Well, fun. It goes to these interesting and unique places. So, yeah, also, yeah, really good atmospheric production choice style, and yeah, very good in most of its areas too. We're going to stick with the subject of black metal and a band called Hässlich with their new album title Apex Predator. Now, Hässlich is a German term, it's the German word for ugly, but this band is actually from Spain, which is a bit odd. I'm giving this one an A minus. This is a sort of blackened hardcore punk thing. Think of it like Black Button's album from last year. I need to really listen to that. God, if I did a top 40, it would have absolutely made that list. That album's really fucking good. And so Slept On too. Yeah, no, really good sort of black metal with a really good, like, hardcore punkish sort of edge. Really like the unique take on the instrumentation. Like that the punkiness added a good bounce and energy to a style that isn't known for having that. The performances are fantastic. Like, whoever does the drumming is a really good fucking drummer. Unless this is... I'm mixing up with someone else. I think this is a one-person thing. So I did quickly just double-check to be sure. And yeah, Hässlich is a one-man project by someone who simply goes by the initials DB. I couldn't find anything about a real name. But whoever they are, fucking hell, they did a good job with the instrumentation, the guitar work, the drumming. There's solid bass, admittedly, as well. The vocals are really good too. I bless you. I will admit, I do wish that all the lyrics were in Spanish, because from what I could decipher from the English ones, there seems to be good themes. I just wish that they were all in Spanish. You know, I like it when a foreign-speaking band sticks to their language, but if they can do English well enough, then absolutely do that. I just think, like, if a band's going to do a certain language, they should either do all of one or all of another one. I think mixing in the two can be a bit difficult to get a grip on. It's always just how I've felt about it, but there is good themes from what I could decipher. I just wish I could decipher more, and I can't really remember any. Production's pretty solid. I think it was self-produced as well, because it was, I think it was self-released, and yeah, self-performed by, again, one fucking person. There is some pacing issues as well. I feel like some of the songs could have been arranged in a slightly different order. Like, I don't think it ends with the strongest song. But it's still got some really solid stuff as it goes, and again, like, the unique mix of, like, the hardcore punk with the black metal style, it makes for something that's really interesting. So, yeah, a good take on the style, really good fucking performance from a person who does all of the shit, and good production, and yeah, solid all in all, another good recommend from me. Next up is the only non-metal leaning act in today's video, the Lemon Twigs with their new album, A Dream Is All We Know. This is an indie rock, sort of indie pop rock act. I don't know a lot about them. I'm giving this one a B+. I thought this was a very thoroughly charming album. The band is just like two people, and the vocals are just really, really like endearing, and there's some good songwriting as well. I like the instrumentation. I do think the production is a bit weird on the guitars at times, but I think it's quite cleaned up nicely, and structuring maybe a little bit of drag here and there. That's not a major issue. But my main thing is the lyrics, because even though there's like an optimistic tone, there was an attempt to tell like the concept of like falling short of potential and chasing dreams, and I didn't really get that from the lyrics. They're all like easy to find and easy to read, and I was trying to find the sort of dark concept behind it. It didn't really feel like that. Maybe it's just because the tone is so summery and optimistic. That might have something to do with it. I'm not really sure. And the band just, like, they're so endearing anyway. They could tell me the most depressing shit on this album. This is my first album by them, by the way. It's like their 8th or something. But they could tell me the most depressing shit ever, and I would just be vibing to it, because like this album's just a really good vibey album. Yeah, good performances, good instrumentation, bit inconsistent in terms of its tone, but all in all, again, bless you. Oh my god. Again, really rather enjoyable. I'm so glad he's in this video. And another one I recommend you check out. You know, this is staying as we go to the next album, Veritas by P.O.D. This is the band's first album in about 6 years. I'm giving it the lowest grade of the episode. I sounded a bit drunk there, which is a C+. It felt like this one had a touch of the Who Do You Trust by Papa Roach to it. I don't know what it is about this album. I think maybe it's the fact that drummer Noah Wolf Bernardo left a couple of years ago. This is their first album without him. He's one of the founding members as well. It's got the other three, like Trey Daniels. Actually, he wasn't a founding member. I don't think he was the original bassist. But Sonny Sandoval and Marcus Curiel are both still here. And like they're all, you know, three members of the iconic lineup before. The lyrics do sort of try and tell a good introspective thing, you know. But there's just something about it that feels really oddly cookie cutter. There's not really a lot done with the pacing. This is a heavier leaning album for the band, but it doesn't do anything really interesting with it. And the production is it's way too clean. It is way too, like, perfectly picked and handled. And it just feels empty as a result, and I'm not really vibing with it. I do think the performance is still really good. Sonny Sandoval is still a really good vocalist, in my opinion. Marcus Curiel is massively underrated as a guitarist, and I wish he got more chance to show that. I think he's trying to, but it feels like the instrumentation, especially the bass. Trey Daniels is a really good bassist. I feel like they're burying that shit under the mix, and it just doesn't make a ton of sense to me, because there's a real emotional core here, but the bands are not allowed to express it for some weird reason. And I don't know if there's a lot of excuse for it, because this is the band's first album again after 6 years, and after a lineup change as well, a very significant one. And I don't know, there's just something about it that didn't fully click with me. So, yeah, I did enjoy it for the most part. I really do not think it's the band's fault at all. There's something clearly at fault here that has nothing to do with the band at all. Finally, we head to Little Rock, Arkansas. It's been a while since I've done that. For Terminal Nation and their first album, I think it is. I could be completely wrong. Echoes of the Devil's Den. Now, this is very much a sort of death metal act with, you know, that hardcore punk element I mentioned a lot when talking about Hastlig's album? Yeah, that is in full fucking force for Terminal Nation. I'm giving this one an A+. Holy glory, this album fucking ruled. The instrumentation is super heavy, really nicely paced as well, really good pacing with it. I like the guitar solos, I like the mixture of the punk rhythms with the death metal stuff, making for this like really fucking pump your fist in the air style, and fucking hell, I love the lyrics. There's really good like political themes, anti-authority, anti-establishment, police brutality, racism stuff, I'm pretty sure, inequality, and it's just so well done. There's a lot of features on this album too. There's like 5 of them. The only one I remember is Jesse Lee from Killswitch appears on one of the songs, which is really cool that he shows up for this. Yeah, solid, really fucking good performances, actually. So yeah, good, great instrumentation, great lyricism, great performances. Production's really, really good too. I like how it makes each little thing pop without burying anything else. This is the album that Veritas should have sounded like, but, well, who am I to say? I mean, POD obviously more of a nu metal act anyway, so you're probably not going to get that. But, I mean, who can say? Really, really like the production on Terminal Nation's album here, though. Yeah, solidly handled. I think the pacing might be my weakest point, because I think a couple of songs do start to blur a little bit at certain points, but like with Hastlig's album, this has like a unique style that actually keeps it interesting and refreshing. So it doesn't just recycle odd stuff, it just feels like it could have maybe paced itself a little bit better in places, but still absolutely fantastic in terms of that as well, and has a really fucking unique take. I don't think I've ever heard a band do anything like this. You know, this is probably the part where, even though no one watches my videos, there's going to be someone in the comments saying, well, actually, this band did. I don't care. I don't care. This is my first example of it. I'm really enjoying how it sounds. And I hope you enjoyed my accurate impression of a YouTube commenter. But, yeah, really, really good album. Highest recommend by far. That'll about do it for, well, that bit. Next is the official ranking system. So we would have to go with POD with Veritas at the bottom, The Absence with The Absence after that, then the Lemon Twigs with The Dream Is All We Know, Hastlig with Apex Predator, ACOD, or ICRD, I don't know, with Versus Noir, and Terminal Nation with Echoes of the Devil's Den. As always, go and listen to all of these yourself and formulate your own opinions. Favourite song goes to ACOD's, the one I said earlier, something Malefica, Habentis Malefica, that one. Really, just 20 minutes of like really good black metal punky action shit, leaning more on the black metal side, which I kind of appreciate. And favourite album cover goes to Terminal Nation's Echoes of the Devil's Den. I want that as a poster in my room. Really good art. I love the placing of the album title and the band name too. Yeah, it looks fucking epic. It looks like a level from Doom with a more fantasy vibe. I fucking enjoy that shit. That'll about do it for me though. Next thing you'll see me for will probably be a reaction tomorrow, because I haven't done one for the past couple of weeks, and I'm sorry. But the one thing I'll try and get done tomorrow, I'm going to get done tomorrow, is Locked and Loaded. The arena for that is made, the card is pretty much all set, I just need to get the okay from my co-booker Bobby, and it should be all good to go, but I'll see you all tomorrow night for that. And that's the one thing I can guarantee happening tomorrow. So, yeah, that's all I can think of. Bless you again. As always, thank you for watching. You're awesome. Bye-bye. Bless your soul.